At the far edge of a bright and prosperous kingdom lay a royal garden unlike any other. At its center rested an ancient pond, untouched by time, hidden beneath layers of quiet legend. The water was deep, darker than the sky at night, and perfectly still, as if it listened more than it reflected. The people believed the pond held old magic, but the palace no longer spoke of such things. The princess who lived above it had little patience for forgotten stories. She had been raised in abundance, her every desire answered before it became a need. Praise followed her wherever she went, yet she learned early that charm could replace responsibility and beauty could excuse impatience. She was not cruel by nature, but careless by habit. One afternoon, seeking distraction rather than purpose, the princess wandered into the garden carrying a crystal sphere. The orb was smooth, cool, and faintly glowing, an heirloom said to respond only to royal blood. She tossed it lightly into the air, laughing as it shimmered in sunlight. Then, in a moment of inattention, it slipped. The crystal struck the pond's surface and vanished without a sound. Annoyance replaced amusement. The princess rushed forward, peering into the dark water, demanding its return, as if the pond were a servant. But the water remained silent. Then it rippled. From beneath the surface emerged a frog, larger than any she had seen before. Its eyes were old, patient, and unsettlingly aware. It spoke calmly, without fear or flattery. It knew the pond. It could return what was lost. Relief overcame caution. The princess agreed to the frog's request before she truly understood it. He did not ask for treasure or favor. He asked only to be welcomed into her life, not hidden, not denied, not forgotten. The promise felt small to her. Words were easy. The moment the crystal orb rose from the pond and returned to her hands, the agreement faded from her mind. She left without looking back. That night, the pond stirred beneath the moon. The frog remained, unmoving, as ancient magic responded not to anger, but to disappointment. And deep beneath the water, the balance that protected the kingdom shifted. The frog did not wait long. He arrived at the palace gates the next morning, his presence quiet yet undeniable. Guards hesitated, unsure whether to laugh or listen, but something in his gaze commanded respect. When the princess saw him, irritation rose instantly. She denied recognition, brushing him aside as an inconvenience she refused to acknowledge. The frog did not raise his voice. He spoke only of the promise made beside the pond. The court fell silent. The king listened carefully, his expression tightening with concern. He knew what his daughter did not yet understand. A kingdom is built not on power, but on trust. When promises lose meaning, order follows. The king ordered the princess to honor her word, not as punishment, but as duty. From that day forward, the frog remained near her, not demanding comfort, but presence. The princess complied outwardly, yet resentment filled her every gesture. She offered politeness without sincerity, tolerance without respect. The frog observed quietly. As days passed, the kingdom began to change. The pond's water clouded, fields near its banks yielded less harvest. Travelers spoke of uneasy dreams and failing luck. The land's magic, once unnoticed, was withdrawing. The princess dismissed these signs at first, but doubt grew. One night, unable to ignore the weight pressing upon her, she confronted the frog. Her frustration spilled freely, accusing him of disruption, embarrassment, and blame. The frog asked only one question: had she ever intended to keep her promise? The question lingered long after silence filled the room. For the first time, the princess saw herself clearly. The morning arrived quietly, as if the kingdom itself was holding its breath. Mist rose gently from the ancient pond, curling through the garden like a living memory. The water, once restless and dark, now reflected the pale light of dawn. Birds gathered nearby, waiting, listening. sensing that something unseen was about to change. The princess came alone. She wore no jewels, no crown, no colors that marked her as royalty. The gown she chose was simple, light, and unadorned. For the first time in her life, she had left comfort behind willingly. Each step toward the pond felt heavier than the last, not because of fear, but because of understanding. She knelt at the water's edge. There was no demand in her posture, no expectation of reward. She did not come to reclaim anything she had lost. She came to face what she had avoided. The frog surfaced slowly, his emerald skin catching the early light. His eyes, ancient and steady, met hers without judgment. He did not speak, he did not accuse. He waited. The princess bowed her head. She acknowledged the promise she had made so carelessly, the way she had treated words as tools rather than truths. She admitted that she had agreed only to serve herself, believing that kindness could be borrowed without consequence. For the first time, she did not excuse her behavior. She did not blame ignorance or youth. She accepted responsibility. As her honesty settled into the air, the pond responded. The water stilled completely, becoming clear enough to reveal symbols etched deep into the stone below. Old magic stirred, not violently, but gently, as if recognizing something it had been waiting for. The frog revealed the truth then. He had once been a prince bound to the pond by a spell older than the kingdom itself. The curse was not created by cruelty alone, but by broken trust. Long ago, promises had been treated as conveniences, and the land had suffered for it. The pond had become a keeper of balance, reflecting the honesty of those who ruled above it. The princess had not caused the curse, she had awakened it, and now she stood at the edge of a choice. From that day forward, she changed her life not in grand gestures, but in daily acts. She welcomed the frog as a companion, not as an obligation forced upon her by authority. She listened to his wisdom, shared meals without resentment, and treated his presence with respect rather than tolerance. The kingdom noticed. Slowly, the land responded. The water of the pond grew clear and calm. Crops near its banks recovered. Travelers slept peacefully again. The invisible thread that tied honesty to prosperity began to mend. Yet nothing happened all at once. The frog remained as he was, and the princess did not ask for transformation. She learned that change was not something owed to her, it was something earned through consistency. One evening, as the sun set in gold and rose, the princess returned to the pond with the frog at her side. There was no ceremony, no command, no plea, only quiet understanding. The magic responded then, not with force, but with release. Light rose from the water, surrounding the frog gently. His form dissolved into warmth rather than pain, reshaping not as a reward, but as a resolution. When the glow faded, a young man stood where the frog had been. His expression carried relief, humility, and gratitude. The spell was broken, not by a kiss, not by obedience, but by sincerity. The prince did not demand marriage or power. He offered partnership. He offered to stand beside the princess as the kingdom healed, not above it. She accepted, not as a prize, but as a shared responsibility. Under her guidance, the kingdom changed. Laws were shaped with care. Promises were spoken thoughtfully. The story of the pond was taught not as legend, but as lesson. The princess who once treated words lightly became a ruler known for integrity. The pond remained, calm and clear, no longer a keeper of punishment, but a symbol of balance. And the kingdom learned what its princess had learned at last, that a promise, once made, does not belong to the moment, it belongs to the future.